was really going on? All black leaders are Freemasons. May 21, 2015. Second Right, Marcus Garvey, Jamaican Pan-African leader. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Jr., was a staunch proponent of the Black nationalism and Pan-Africanism movements. He founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, UNIAACL. Like Rastafarians and Nation of Islam, these movements are Masonic fronts. Masonic control of Black power movements suggests Freemasonry is part of the mechanism of colonialism. The way to control the opposition is to lead it. We are colonized in the same way. By Cr. HenryMacau.com, reading an article about Jamaican Black nationalist leader Marcus Garvey. 1887 to 1940, I noticed something odd about the picture, above. The men riding in the car with him are wearing mortarboard hats. It didn't appear to be a graduation ceremony, so what was really going on? I discovered that Garvey and basically all leaders in the Black Power/civil rights movement are Masons. That weird hat that Garvey often wore was actually Masonic regalia in a Masonic journal. During the final 4 years of his life, Garvey turned even more emphatically toward the Masonic ideal based on secret knowledge. With the defeat of Ethiopia in the Italo-Ethiopian War of 1935, Garvey revised dramatically his previous estimates of what political movements alone could be expected to accomplish. Thus, he viewed as problematic the absence of Masonry in his The Negro's political ideals, noting that there is nothing secret in what he is aiming at for his own hope of preservation. Garvey was alluding to the evolution of the fraternal idea from its earlier craft stage into a potent political vehicle, one based on the organization of secret revolutionary brotherhoods. From the start, the UNIA shared numerous features with fraternal benevolent orders. The UNIA's governing constitution and Book of Laws held the same status and function as Freemasonry's Book of Constitutions and Book of the Law. The UNIA's titular potentate was clearly analogous to the imperial potentate of the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, or Black Shriners. The High Executive Council of the UNIA and ACL reflected the Imperial Council of the Black Shriners and the Supreme Council of Freemasonry in general. The elaborate and resplendent public displays by the UNIA, particularly during its annual conventions, drew upon the example of the Black Shriners and other fraternal groups. Other features shared with fraternal orders included solemn oaths and binding pledges, special degrees of chivalry, such as the Cross of African Redemption, Knight of the Sublime Order of the Nile, and Knight of the Order of Ethiopia. To quote a paper titled The Craft and the Crescent, written by Michael R. Scheiderer, a former district education officer of Mechanicsburg Lodge No. 113, Marcus Garvey was a member of Prince Hall Freemasonry. Mary Lefkowitz states, to a large extent, the UNIA was organized along Masonic lines. It had a significant benevolent function, it had a constitution based on the Masons, it also had a potentate, and potentate's helmet closely resembled the ceremonial hat worn by Masons in special parades. Marcus Garvey in a similar uniform to that of a Knights Templar of the Masonic Order. Many African American Freemasons at the time believed that Freemasonry actually started in the advanced civilization of ancient Egypt. This helped African Americans identify with Freemasonry as it was thought to be based on ceremonies in ancient Africa. I did a little more research and found that basically all world leaders are Masons, or members of affiliated organizations, and whether they are perceived as part of the global elite is irrelevant. Gaddafi was a Mason. Even Haile Selassie was a Mason and a Knight of the Order of the Garter, Britain's most exclusive order of chivalry. Now I know why Ethiopia was never colonized, it didn't need to be. Whether these men's deaths and executions are real or simply theatrical performances is questionable. Where is Hitler? Did they really kill bin Laden? Haile Selassie disappeared. Some bones were found buried near his palace but never positively identified. Rastafarians, who were started by Joseph Hibbert, a Mason, believe that Selassie is not dead. It's possible that they really were killed for not cooperating with their masters, but I would not discount the possibility of their deaths being faked to perpetuate the illusion of resistance to the powers that be. Two of the most well-known African-American black leaders, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, are Masons as well. Malcolm X seems to be one of the few who realized that the movement was driven by corruption and racism, but Alex Haley, the author of his biography, is also a Mason. It's not just Black America that is completely subverted. Consider this quote from a Jamaica Gleaner article: with over 5,000 members enrolled to the fraternity, the Freemasons present at the Gleaners Forum said that their membership included nearly all the upstanding men in leadership positions in medicine, the judiciary, the police force, and even Parliament. They stressed the importance of unity, humility, and charity among lodge members, as the brotherhood reaches across continents, racial and religious barriers. Emphasis mine. Jamaican DJ Bounty Killer, who at one time was referred to as the poor people's governor for his songs speaking out against political corruption and supporting the poor, declared in a song titled Lodge that "Fi me gun no join lodge and it no join church, my gun will not join the lodge and it will not join church." Considering that he started going to church and may soon become a gospel artist, I wouldn't be surprised if he joined a lodge as well. Haitian national hero and revolutionary leader Toussaint L'Ouverture was also a member. Although a former slave, he had owned slaves himself. Although he led a great slave revolt, he was desperate to trade export crops for defense supplies and so imposed a militarized forced labor system that was slavery in all but name. He was simultaneously a devout Catholic, a Freemason, and a secret practitioner of voodoo. And although the monarchs of Europe regarded him with unalloyed horror, he in effect turned himself into one of them by fashioning a constitution making himself his country's dictator for life, with the right to name his successor. Is it any wonder that Black power, Black nationalism, and civil rights have resulted in very little progress for the majority? Unless you consider a half-Jewish Kenyan named Obama being elected as American president,